D takes c4. Knight takes c6. B takes c6. Short castle. Bishop d6. Queen e2. Short castle. d3. C takes d3.
Hello.
Queen takes d3. Queen h4. g3. Queen h6. Bishop takes h6.
Wow.
Black resigned, white is victorious.
Wow.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
E3, E5, E3, B3, Bishop C5, Bishop B2, Knight C6, Knight F3, D6, D4, E takes D4, E takes D4, Bishop B6, D5, Knight E5, Knight takes E5, Queen E7, Queen E2, D takes E5, Bishop takes E5, F6, Bishop G3, Bishop F5, Queen takes E7 check, Knight takes E7, Bishop D3, Bishop takes D3, C takes D3, Knight takes D5, Knight D2, long castle, short castle, Knight C3, Knight C4, Knight E2 check, King H1, Knight takes G3 check, F takes G3, Rook takes D3, Rook A D1, Rook takes D1, Rook takes D1, Rook D8, Rook takes D8 check, King takes D8, Knight takes B6, A takes B6, King G1, King D7, King F2, King D6, King E3, King E5, A4, G6, B4, H6, H4, C6, G4, G5, H takes G5, H takes G5, G3, B5, A5, King D5, King D3, King E5, King E3, King D5, King D3, C5, B takes C5, King takes C5, King E4, B4, King D3, King B5, King c2. King takes a5. King b2. b5. King b3. King b6.
Wow, we won the first game, guys. We won the first game. So now we will play the next game now. First, let me give that title to Steam. That's notice.org. Oh my god, I don't know what happened.
e4. e6.
Wang is best.
d4. d5. e5. c5. Knight f3. Bishop d7. c3. Queen b6. Knight bd2. Knight c6. Knight b3. C takes d4. C takes d4. Bishop b4 check. Knight fd2. Knight ge7. a3. Bishop takes d2 check. Queen takes d2. Queen takes b3.
Oh my god, I've done
Bishop d3.
I think I will lose the
Short castle. Short castle. Knight g6. f4. Knight takes d4. Bishop takes g6. F takes g6. Queen takes d4. Bishop b5. Rook f3. Queen c2. Rook f2. Queen f5.
Please, can you win this? I don't know. But I think if I manage, I can
a4.
win
a6.
this. Wow.
A takes b5.
Blundering,
A takes b5.
blundering,
b4. Rook takes a1. Queen takes a1. Rook c8. Bishop e3. Queen d3. Queen d4.
Oh my god.
Rook c1 check.
I blundered.
Bishop takes c1.
I
Queen takes d4.
blundered. I think I
King f1. Queen takes b4. Bishop d2. Queen c4 check. Rook e2. b4. King f2. b3. Bishop e3. d4. Bishop d2. b2. Bishop e1. Queen c2. Rook takes c2. b1 promotes to queen. Rook c8 check. King f7. Rook c7 check. King e8. Rook c8 check. King d7. Rook b8. Queen b2 check. King f1. d3. h3. Queen e2 check. King g1. Queen takes e1 check. King h2. d2. Rook takes b7 check. King c6. Rook b2. Queen e4. Rook takes d2. Queen takes f4 check. King g1. Queen takes d2.
Lost it, man. I lost it. Hello guys.
e4. e5. d4. E takes d4. c3. D takes c3. Knight takes c3. Bishop b4.
Is here.
Bishop c4. Bishop takes c3 check. B takes c3. Knight f6. e5. Queen e7. Queen e2. Knight g8. Knight f3. Knight c6. Short castle. b6. Rook e1. Bishop b7. Bishop g5. Queen c5. Bishop e3. Queen e7. Queen d3. Long castle. Bishop a6. King b8. Bishop takes b7. King takes b7. a4. Knight takes e5. Knight takes e5. Queen takes e5. Bishop takes b6. Queen d6. Queen takes d6.
Oh
C
God,
takes d6.
this is so hard,
Bishop
man.
takes d8. Knight f6.
Hold on.
Bishop takes f6.
It's
G
all
takes
over
f6.
me now.
Rook e7. Rook c8. Rook takes d7 check. Rook c7. Rook takes c7 check. King takes c7. Rook e1. King c6. Rook e7. King c5. Rook takes f7. e4. e5. Knight f3. Knight c6. Bishop c4. f5. d3. Knight f6. Knight g5. d5. E takes d5. Knight takes d5. Short castle. h6. Queen h5 check. King d7. Bishop takes d5. H takes g5.
Check.
Queen takes h8. Knight d4. Bishop b3. Knight e2 check. King h1. Knight d4. Queen h5. Knight e6. Bishop takes e6 check. King takes e6. Queen g6 check. Queen f6. Queen takes g5. Bishop d7. Queen takes f6 check. G takes f6. Knight c3. c6. Rook e1. King d6. f4. Bishop g7. F takes e5 check. F takes e5. Bishop g5. Rook e8. Bishop d2. King c7. Bishop g5. b5. Bishop d2. King b7. Knight b1. e4. D takes e4. Bishop takes b2. Bishop c3. Bishop takes a1. Bishop takes a1. F takes e4. Knight c3. Bishop f5. Knight e2. e3. Bishop d4. a5. c3. Bishop d3. Knight f4. Bishop c4. Rook takes e3. Rook f8. Rook e7 check. King c8. Rook a7. Rook takes f4. Rook a8 check. King b7. Rook d8. b4. Rook d7 check. King c8. Rook g7. Rook f1 check. Bishop g1. Rook a1. White timeout, black is victorious.
I'm losing back to back.
e4. e5. Knight f3. Knight c6.
Can you tell me the reason?
Bishop b5. a6. Bishop takes c6. D takes c6. Short castle. Bishop d6. d4. Bishop g4. D takes e5. Bishop takes f3. Queen takes f3. Bishop takes e5. Knight c3. Queen f6. Queen g4. Bishop takes c3. B takes c3. Queen takes c3. Bishop f4. Knight e7. Bishop takes c7. Short castle.
Hello guys.
Bishop d6. Rook fe8.
Your granddad.
Queen g3. Rook a d8. Queen takes c3. Rook takes d6. Rook fd1.
God, why I'm blundering like that? I've blundered
Rook
everything.
g6. g3.
I'm the
h6.
blunder king.
f4.
Blunder king.
Knight c8. e5.
Blunder king, blunder
Knight
king,
b6.
blunder king, blunder.
Queen b3. Knight d5.
The blunder
Queen takes b7.
king, the blunder
Knight e3.
and the blunder king.
Rook d2. Knight f5.
The blunder king,
Queen takes c6.
the blunder king,
h5.
oh my god.
Queen takes e8 check.
Oh my god, what?
King h7. Queen takes f7.
Just missed it.
h4.
It again.
Queen takes
I
f5.
don't know
H
how
takes
to
g3.
play chess.
H takes g3.
Which
King h6.
chess? I don't know. I'm just losing every game. I'm just losing every game. My god. I don't know how to deal with this kind of situation where you are just losing every game. I don't know, man. I don't know how to deal with it.
e4.
I'm losing
C6.
every single game. Maybe I can win this one.
Bishop c4.
Just 1200.
d5. E takes d5.
Can I win?
C takes d5. Bishop
If I can't
b3.
win this, then
Knight
I should
c6.
quit chess. I think.
Queen f3.
I should quit chess.
Knight f6.
Because this is
Knight
very
e2.
easy. It can't be easy.
Bishop
because-
g4.
Hello, Rudra. Can you hear me, Rudra? Do you want to
Queen
play
e3.
chess?
e6,
Good job.
short castle, bishop d6, knight bc3, short castle,
अभी नहीं बाद में ठीक है तेरा भी सही है बाद में ही खेलेगा ना तू I can understand how it
h3,
happens why you love about me I know that are you listening to me
bishop f5, knight d4, knight takes d4, queen takes d4, a6, d3, bishop c7, bishop g5, queen d6, f4, knight h5, knight e2,
hello
bishop b6,
oh my god I just blundered
king h2, bishop takes d4,
I'm losing against a 1200 rated player. I should quit chess, man. What do you think, guys? Should I quit chess?
knight takes d4,
I can't play good chess anymore. Quit it.
bishop g6, g4, knight f6, rook a e1,
I can win this one time, maybe. Can I? Yes, 30 seconds.
h6,
17 seconds.
bishop h4,
Win this one time. I don't know, maybe. Maybe I can do that.
knight d7,
She will be in
bishop g3,
now because
queen e7,
pieces are active.
f5, Queen c5. c3. Bishop h7. F takes e6. F takes e6. Knight takes e6. Black time out, white is victorious.
Time. At least I won against a 1200 rated player.
e4.
Now it's 12,
E5.
14, 16, 26. This also I can win, I think.
Queen h5. Knight c6. Bishop c4. g6. Queen f3. Knight f6. Queen d1. Bishop g7.
Blundered that.
Knight
pawn,
c3.
He didn't take that.
Short castle. d3.
Maybe
Knight
he's
a5.
thinking that it's kind of a
Bishop
trap.
b3. Knight takes b3. A takes b3. d6. Bishop g5. c6. h3. d5. Knight f3.
Can we get to 1800 today?
Rook e8. Short castle. d4. Knight e2.
Can we cross 1800, guys?
Bishop e6. Knight g3. Queen d7. Knight takes e5. Queen c8. Knight c4. b5. Knight d6. Queen d7. Knight takes e8. Rook takes e8. Queen f3. h6. Bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6. Queen takes f6. Queen d6. e5. Queen d7. Knight e4. Bishop d5. Queen f4. Queen c7. Knight f6 check. King f8. Queen takes h6 check. King e7. Knight takes e8. King takes e8. Queen h8 check. King d7. f4. Queen a5. Rook takes a5. Black time out, white is victorious.
Well, we are winning again. $30.95. Makundu.
e4. c6. d4.
Simba.
d5. e5. e6. Knight f3. f6. Bishop d3. F takes e5. Knight takes e5. Knight f6. Bishop g5. Knight b d7. Short castle. Bishop e7. f4. Short castle. Knight d2. Knight e8. Knight d f3. Knight takes e5. D takes e5. b6. Knight d4. Bishop c5. Bishop takes d8. Bishop takes d4 check. King h1. Bishop takes b2. Queen h5.
Wow, man.
g6.
We are winning, I think. We can take this. Takes, check, goes here. And then check, comes here. Then what? I don't know.
Bishop takes g6. H takes g6. Queen takes g6 check.
Hello guys.
Knight g7.
We are just 8 away from that mark.
Bishop f6. Rook f7. Rook f3. a5. Rook g3. Rook a7.
Takes. No.
Rook b1. Bishop d4. c3.
It's not gonna help.
Bishop c5. Rook h3. Bishop a6. Queen h7 check. King f8.
Wow. What a mate, guys. What a mate. I'm proud of myself after that mate.
D4. Knight F6.
17 to 47 now.
C4. G6.
This is king's in
Knight
defense.
C3. Bishop G7. E4. D6.
Don't play
Bishop E2.
F4. I don't know that.
Short castle.
variation.
Bishop E3.
Tell him to don't play that variation. E5 maybe.
E5. D5.
No, it's C6. No. Then what? D7.
Knight A6.
He didn't go berserk. Why? I don't know.
G4.
He didn't go berserk against me.
Knight C5. F3.
Could have taken that? No. That was always protected.
Bishop D7. B4.
Oh,
Knight A6.
this is getting
Queen B3.
very hard for me now. It's getting harder.
C6. H4. C5. B5. Knight C7. Knight H3. B6. A4. Knight Fe8. Long castle. F5. E takes F5. G takes F5. H5.
We are holding this, I think. Can I take that now?
F4. Bishop F2. H6. Rook DG1. Knight F6. G5. Knight takes H5. Queen B1. Knight G3. Bishop takes G3. F takes G3. Rook takes G3. H5.
H5 was a good move, I think.
Knight F2.
Did.
Bishop E8. Knight Fe4. Rook F5. Knight F6 check. King F8. Queen takes F5. Bishop takes F6. G takes F6.
Gone now.
Queen D7. Rook takes h5. Queen takes f5. Rook takes f5.
Thank you.
Bishop d7. Rook h5.
Thank you so much for subscribing.
King f7. Rook g7 check. King takes f6. Rook takes d7.
Is there anyone who wants to play?
h6. g4. c6. Bishop e3. Bishop e7. h4. E takes d4. Knight takes d4. Knight e5. Bishop e2. Queen a5. f3. d5. g5. H takes g5. H takes g5. Knight fd7. E takes d5. Knight b6. D takes c6. B takes c6. Knight b3. Queen b4. Queen d4. Knight bc4. Long castle. Knight takes e3. Queen takes e3. Knight g6. Knight d4. Bishop d7. f4. Rook h3. Rook g3. Rook takes g3. Queen takes g3.
I am here.
Rook b8.
Do you want to play chess?
b3. Rook b7. Bishop c4. Queen a3 check. King b1. Queen b4. King a1. Knight f8. e4. Knight f6. e5. Knight d5. d4. d6. Knight f3. Bishop g4. Bishop e2. e6. c4. Knight b6. E takes d6. C takes d6. h3. Bishop h5. Knight c3. Bishop e7. d5.
Hello guys.
e5. g4. Bishop g6. h4.
nine,
G5.
3, 2, 1,
G5.
0,
White didn't move, black is victorious.
I was not even there. Loss. Carry chase. In Samarth he parted. New master OP. New master.
E4. E5. Knight C3. Knight C6. D3. Knight F6. Bishop G5. Bishop B4. Bishop takes F6. Queen takes F6.
Hello Jayant. How are you?
A3. Bishop C5. Knight F3. Knight D4. Knight takes D4. Bishop takes D4. Queen E2. Queen C6. Queen D2. Queen F6. Queen E2. D6. Long castle. Bishop E6. F3. H5. G4. Long castle. Bishop H3. H takes G4. Bishop takes G4.
Buffering.
Bishop takes G4.
I don't know
F takes
why
G4.
it is happening like that.
Queen F4 check.
So
King B1.
buffering,
King B8.
buffering,
Rook HF1.
buffering.
Queen G5. Rook takes F7. G6. Rook DF1. Bishop takes C3. B takes C3. Queen H4. Rook 1 F6. Queen takes H2.
Hello Jayant, do you want to play Jayant?
E4. E5. Knight C3. Knight C6. Knight F3. D6. Bishop C4. Bishop G4. D4. Bishop takes F3. Queen takes F3. Queen F6. Queen takes F6. Knight takes F6. D takes E5. Knight takes E5. Bishop B3. Bishop E7. Short castle. Short castle. f4. Knight c6. Knight d5. Knight takes e4. Rook e1. Knight c5. Knight takes e7 check. Knight takes e7. Rook takes e7. Knight takes b3. C takes b3. c5. Bishop d2. b5. Rook a e1. a5. Bishop c3. b4. Bishop d2. f6. f5. Rook f7. Rook e8 check. Rook takes e8. Rook takes e8 check. Rook f8. Rook takes f8 check. King takes f8. Bishop f4. King e7.
Can't play so far.
Knight d4. Long castle. Short castle. King g1. King f8. c6. Queen takes b6. e5. Rook a4. e4. Rook a8. d7. King g7. f4. King h6. f3. Queen e3. g3. Queen takes f3. e7. Queen h5. e8 promotes to queen. Rook h takes e8. g4. King takes e6. f5 check. King takes d7. h4. Queen takes b5. h5. Queen e5. g3. Queen g7. h4. h6. f6. Queen f8. h3. b5. f4. b4. f5. b3. G takes h6. Rook takes h6. e3. Knight e7. d5. Knight takes e5. F takes e5. Queen takes e5. f4. Queen c7. f3. Rook a8. d4. Queen d8. D takes e6. Bishop takes e6. f5. Bishop c8. d3. Rook a7. d2. Rook a8. f2. Rook a7. d5. Rook a8. d4. Rook a7. d3. Rook a8. h2. Rook a7. e5. Knight takes f5. G takes f5. Bishop takes f5. g4. Queen g5. g3. Bishop d7. f4. Queen d8. e6. Bishop c8. h4. Queen f6. f5. Rook takes h5. e4. Rook takes h4. G takes h4. Queen takes h4. f3. Queen h3. g2. Queen takes g2. f6. Rook a8. White timeout, black is victorious. Rook takes c4. D takes c4. Bishop takes c4. a2. Queen c7. e4. Knight e7. h4. Knight c8. h3. Knight d6. e5. Knight takes b5. A takes b5. Bishop takes b5. a4. Bishop takes a6. b5. Bishop c8. c4. Queen e7. e4. Queen a3. f5. G takes f5. G takes f5. Queen takes a2. g6. Queen takes c2. g4. Rook takes h4. f6. Queen takes b3. e3.